All right, biology teachers, video number 4, the one you've been waiting on. Maybe. I don't know. But this one, we are going to cover the actual pacing guide, which for high school is actually new. You guys have never had well, I don't want to say never. For a while, you haven't had a pacing guide. So hopefully you guys will find this useful and also think of it as like all of your resources as well. So we're going to start here. We're on the curriculum landing page. And all you do is you just scroll down and your pacing guide's right there. So instead of a separate document, this is like one document. And that makes it really useful if you have it in like a notebook to keep track of everything. But a lot of links and access needs to be digital. So make sure you have the easy way to navigate to here. What I want to do with you guys today is quickly take you through what information is on here, what resources, and where that kind of came from. Most of it's Discovery Ed, and I've kind of pulled it away so it's easier to find. And then in the next video, what I'll do is I'll take this and all the different parts, and I'll use all of it to create a lesson plan. And you guys typically have 90-minute blocks, so I'll create enough content there that a 90-minute block will work. So hopefully you'll find use out of that. So for this is just the structure of it. And then in the next video will be my how do you use this for your planning. So let's just start from the top, work our way down. Let's be logical about this and give you the concept and what the title of it is, where the concept numbers and stuff comes from. So in the first unit, we actually pull from Discovery Ed's Unit 1 and Unit 3. And so that's where I break it up. I say, well, this is in a different unit, so it's in a separate section. So I break it up based off how Discovery Ed has it, just so that it makes a bit more sense. So in Unit 1, we're pulling Concept 1.2, which is about water. Remember, we're starting off with the chemistry that they know, and then connecting that to the chemistry of life. And then there's your bridge from what they had last year into this new topic. So hopefully that makes it work well for students, and that's where all the titling comes from. There's a brief description of what this is about. It's a quick read. And then I know a lot of schools have been doing student learning objectives. So you can use these as your student learning objectives that you post up on the board. Sometimes they have them in the I can statement, so just add that in front of it, or the student will be able to. I've seen it all. So these will be useful to plug in there up on your board, and boom, you have a great objective. As long as you've tied it into what the actual learning is, it's got the right language, it's the vocabulary. This will be really good to have, and you'll impress your instructional coaches by using those. You could even put your guiding phenomena suggestions. Those would last longer. They're there for the whole concept, or at least maybe one of these ties into one part a little bit better. So these will stick on the board a little bit longer, whereas these are either a day or a couple of days as you kind of hit that objective. So those might be good for placing up on the board. I know some schools ask for at least just the standard written out, just the numbers and stuff. They don't want all of this, but you never need to have the standard written out for students. These aren't designed for students, but if the school is asking for the standard in case they come in and they want to observe a lesson, they want to see how it ties into the standard, you can just write out the standard up on the board. Or if you're doing lesson plans, boom, you can just copy paste these standards into your lesson plan. I want this to help you with your planning out, what you're putting on the board. Feel free to adapt them, modify them, whatever you need to, but hopefully that helps structure your lesson plans, your board space, whatever it is your schools are asking for. And all of this kind of came from, well, all of this came from Discovery Ed, and then this is just our standards. So that's kind of your intro into your pacing guide. The actual structure of the pacing guide, we're actually, instead of typical left to right, I'm going to walk you guys from right to left, these different columns. Because the first column over here on the right is actually probably the most important, most used part of the pacing guide. It's where the kind of the flow, where all the links to the different activities and the main resources is located. Starting up from the top. Most of the stuff I pulled from here is from Discovery Ed. Because of the conversation we've had in the previous video where Discovery Ed is not the best, there might be a few other resources I pull from, but that's okay. I also have here linked, and I forgot to mention it for the chemistry teachers. They're going to be lacking. But for you guys and everybody else, I have a folder, and this is tied to this specific concept it's called Alternative Lesson Designs made by teachers. And so as you guys move throughout the year, if you have lessons or labs, different modifications to things that are on here that you've created and found very useful for your students, share those with me, and I'll add them into this folder as a way that people can access and they'll be able to make a copy. They won't be able to mess up the structure of that folder. So that'll house what teachers have created for our students. And I think that'll be very useful for teachers to share ideas. And then it's in our actual curriculum app that you guys help create. So that's really cool. I'll try to make sure that I bring up that every unit, hey, share some ideas with me, and I'll just make sure that they're copies. So no one's messing with your originals. And this folder will be managed by me so people can only make copies of things. And I think that'll be incredibly useful for us. I'll make sure to give you credit if you share things, your name's attached to that folder. As you go down, I always start the unit. So whatever first concept comes first, you always do the unit phenomena. This is just a reminder that you're going to do that intro phenomena from up here. It's the same link. So make sure that you intro using that, or if you change and do something different, just introduce your unit with the phenomena, and then you jump into your first concept. All of the documents, links, videos, you're going to find in this resource folder. Let's pause on the pacing guide, jump over there. So we talked about how Discovery Ed is a pain to navigate and find all these different labs and different things. So I went ahead and I found or pulled and downloaded all of your teachers' guides, your labs, virtual labs, practice assessments, summative assessments, all of those stuff are housed in here. I also have a folder in most of them. It's called additional assignments. These are the ones where I was like, you know, there's a couple articles. I'm not sure that these are things you have to do, but if you're looking for something a little extra, you can find those there. All those extra videos, because Discovery Ed has a ton of videos, are linked in this document, so you can find them titled out, and that will help you find some good videos to build into your lessons. So maybe just some extra stuff that aren't, I kind of structured it like this. Here's my suggested things you should do or similar. And then if you want to trade out or do a little extra or something, these are also you have access to. So they're there for you to use. So as you kind of move through that, that's all the stuff for that one concept. Move on to the next concept. It kind of repeats. You got a different folder for this one. So you see all the stuff is linked into folders in the concept that you need to be at. You don't have to worry about navigating, getting lost and all that stuff. I put links to certain things like the intro video, boom, it'll take you right there. And these are typically 2-minute little videos just to introduce the topic. I've pulled all the images. As you saw, Discovery Ed has a ton of images. So this is like adipose tissues. It's a visual aid. Feel free to use it however you want. Maybe it's a writing prompt, or you add it into your worksheets or whatever. But this was on Discovery Ed, and I just pulled it out and made it useful for you guys to, if you want to look at saturated versus unsaturated fats. Here's an image you can use. It was just on Discovery Ed, so I pulled it out. They're in the folder, but I also wanted to link them here just so it's like you can view it without having to open up a folder and find it. So I just try to link things so that it'd be easier. I think I mentioned in the previous video the study guide. So instead of going on to Discovery Ed to find it, here's a study guide. And I left it as a Word doc, so that way you guys can go through and make edits, get rid of things, add things in, depending on your lesson. So feel free to use this as a pretty good Word doc with links to the vocab words if they want to go and look at those vocab descriptions on Discovery Ed. So that's kind of the idea there is like I do typically link the teacher's guide. So I might slow like this one. So I might need to fix this, but I'm going to review these and make sure I've done everything correctly. But you use this as your main structure, kind of where am I getting my content from? And for now, this is pretty much just Discovery Ed. As we go throughout the year, if you guys are providing me other resources, I'll try to build those into there too. But I was trying to like just Discovery Ed, look at all that we have. Okay, so that's the first column. That's your main thing. Pretty much everything can be found there, but I wanted there to be two other things. So the suggested assessments, hands-on activities, these are still here in the main resource folder and told to do here. But I wanted to give you quick access to be able to go and view like your labs, like what is this lab coming up? Do I have to prep for it? Sometimes I even put like, here's the materials you're going to need. So before you even get to the lab, you can prep way in advance. I'm going to need to get these materials. I want to look at the lab, see what it's asking them to do. What are the questions being asked in the practice assessment and the concept assessment? So I put those here so that you can look ahead easier and kind of see what's coming up. So you see this one, I said, hey, this is a lot of materials, either for a demonstration or a lab setup. So take a look. I had in mind to do video setups, and I have for physics, and I'm working on the middle school ones right now. So probably won't get to biology right now, but that's kind of an idea that I've started for some of my subjects. So that way you can see a lab set up. I can walk through the different steps. And that seems to be a barrier sometimes. So those will be something coming up. If you guys want to help create those, we can knock those out real quick. And then we have videos for all the different labs. So that's the idea between those. It helps you look ahead, plan ahead. But all those things are also linked in your resource folder. So it's not new and additional stuff. It's just an easy access to see what's coming up. As you come over to this last category, the big ideas, it's basically I just looked at what's being talked about. What's your big idea? This possibly might change. I got some good feedback during summer school when I was piloting these things that there might be some better use for this space. So there might be something there. It'll be similar enough to the big ideas, possibly a scaffolding or a discussion idea, but keep your eye on that area. It might adapt. I'll briefly talk about, remember, the pacing suggestion is just a suggestion, just to kind of help remind you, like, are you somewhat on pace? Like if you're around the right week number, you're not falling too far behind, great. Or if you're not too far forward, awesome. It's not exact. It's not going to be perfect, and I'm not going to hold you. You better be on this week, but it's there to help guide you for, am I at least going roughly on the right pace? Do I need to speed up? Do I need to slow down, dig deeper, or go more broad? So use that pacing guide as just a general suggestion to keep you kind of accountable as you move forward. You'll just repeat as you go through another thing, all the same concepts, same things. So once you understand the structure and how it's used, it just repeats. And then at the end of the unit, it just sends you right back to your unit project. I put a link just so it's at the bottom, but it's basically this again, because you'll end with the unit project. And you'll see I've got the assessment, not linked currently, but you can have an assessment there at the end, just to measure their growth and how much they've retained. So as you can see, a lot easier to use Discovery Ed resources because it's all kind of laid out in this natural flow. You're not worried about the navigation, all the extra stuff. Hopefully this helps increase our use of the Discovery Ed, while also you guys are experts. You can bring in these other ideas that you guys have. You guys have been teaching this a long time. I'm not banning you from anything. I just wanted us to use a bit more of the Discovery Ed, the useful stuff. Like I love the virtual labs. Check those out. This will actually take you straight to the virtual lab. So they have a lot of stuff on there we can use. Let's find something better next year. And for this year, let's utilize what we can. So let me show you this virtual lab real quick. The load up time typically is faster than this. I'm just recording and having video. So we also have FET and gizmos, but like boom, right here, I might either do this as put it up on my board and we do something together, or it's part of a self-paced lesson, but students can see, oh, these are water molecules. I can see how they bounce around. And I see these guys are kind of stuck together. So I wonder if it's close to freezing temperature. You can definitely see if I drop the temperature down, if I go to negative, they crystallize. And now you can look at the structure and the shape of the water molecules. If we go up, they're bouncing around, they've gone crazy. So it's very simple, but now students can visualize what it is that I'm talking about. I think I can even, you can stop it. So all sorts of information there. It gives you some guided processes to go with it. So Discovery Ed's not all bad. We just got it as hard to find the use for it. So hopefully this makes that a little bit better. All right, I'm rambling again. So let's end the video here so that way it does not go on forever. We have one video left, and I actually have to do some work to prep for it, where I will take all of this stuff together and I'll create a really cool lesson that you guys can either do or get inspired by, that shows your classes can use this stuff and be engaging and dynamic. It's not just assign things online. Some of it can be, but how do we get the students interested and involved in our lesson? So hopefully you enjoy that. Hopefully it goes well with me putting it together, and I'll catch you guys in that last video.